Could you see my Wicked t-shirt for any of this video? I'm wearing a Wicked t-shirt. Wicked! Crikey! It's Glinde! Oh my god, hey! Welcome back to my Stagey YouTube channel. If you are seeing my face for the first time, my name is Mickey Joe, and I am obsessed with all things theatre. I am an independent theatre critic and pundit and content creator based here in the UK, and this is my Stagey YouTube channel where I review shows that I have been invited to go and see, and I talk about Broadway, news and drama, and generally all things stagey. If that sounds like the kind of video content that you could vibe with here on YouTube, feel free to subscribe to my channel down below so you don't miss any of my very regular stagey content. Today, the hot theatre news is all about Jonathan Bailey joining the Wicked movie. Yes, we finally have a Fiyero. There has been so much talk about casting for this film, which has been in and out of development for over a decade. We finally found out a little while ago that Cynthia Erivo will be playing Elphaba opposite Ariana Grande as Glinda, and the internet had thoughts. I made a video about my reactions to that casting way back, if you want to go and find that on my channel. And people were satisfied with that news for literally about 5 minutes before they started asking who Fiyero was. We now finally have the answer. It was confirmed by a tweet from director John M. Chu that Jonathan Bailey was attached to the project playing Fiyero. Some other names that had previously been tossed around included Harry Styles and Jordan Fisher, but Jonathan appears to have won the day and the role. So in today's video, I am going to talk to you a little bit more about Jonathan Bailey's casting in this film and what that means and the implications, and I'm going to ask the necessary questions, the ones that all of us are asking. Think of this as a brave and necessary piece of journalism. We are going to talk about singing ability, we're going to talk about accents, and we are going to talk about the iconic Fiyero trousers. Stay with me, we're going to get it all covered. So let's start with a little bit of background about Jonathan Bailey. Best known to the world right now for being Anthony Bridgerton, the leading man of the second series of huge Netflix mega hit Bridgerton. Jonathan has a background in British theatre, in both plays and musicals. I think the first thing I ever saw him in was the National Theatre production of Othello with Adrian Lester. He had a smaller supporting role in that, but definitely caught my attention, as well as a lot of other creatives' attention in the industry. He became something of a rising star after that. I next saw him in the original production of American Psycho the Musical. Pre-Broadway, this was at the Almeida Theatre in the West End with Matt Smith in the lead role, another young actor who has gone on to huge international acclaim. And again, Jonathan Bailey was there in a smaller supporting role. He's since been involved in various little TV projects here in the UK, as well as taking on bigger and bigger roles in the world of musical theatre. He has been Jamie in the last 5 years, opposite Samantha Barks at the Other Palace, which I think was then called the St James Theatre. And most notably, he recently played another Jamie, the gender-swapped version of Amy, in the 2018 London revival of Stephen Sondheim's Company. He was chosen by director Marianne Elliott to play this iconic role and deliver the iconic song Not Getting Married Today, and did so to such critical acclaim that it won him an Olivier Award for Best Supporting Actor in a Musical. This is the same role that earned Broadway's Matt Doyle a Tony Award in the same category for the same production that transferred. In spite of this, like I mentioned before, Jonathan has now become best known because of his role on Bridgerton, causing a lot of people, when this announcement came out, to question whether or not he had the singing ability. So I'm here to tell you, he has very much taken on singing roles before in musical theatre, and he has a very capable voice. What I mean by that is he has executed and navigated some very, very difficult scores. If you're singing Not Getting Married Today 8 times a week, like Sondheim's lyrics and that particular Patter song, formidable, famously formidable. Equally, I would say some of his material in the last 5 years by Jason Robert Brown, some of the hardest male vocalist repertoire in all of musical theatre. And from having heard him perform, like I said, he has a very capable voice. I've never necessarily associated him readily with like a really rich vocal tone, but his acting through song is always incredibly strong because he is first and foremost an incredibly gifted actor. Post his Bridgerton success, I obviously saw him recently here in London at the Ambassadors Theatre, headlining the revival of Cock, opposite Taron Egerton, who then had to drop out of the production for personal reasons. But this was an intense one-act play where Jonathan did not leave the stage the entire time, and I think this is the strongest acting performance I've ever seen him give on stage. Compared with that, Fiyero is really small change, to be honest, even in a two-part version of the film. So to answer the question, yes, he can sing. Yes, he can sing high tenor rep, and I'm expecting him to sound fantastic on this score because these movies have a lot of time. They have vocal coaches who can work with people. If we look at how much Meryl Streep's vocals have strengthened over the years, going from her performances in Mamma Mia to Into the Woods to The Prom, they have only got stronger and stronger. That is because of working with Hollywood vocal coaches. And it's not like Fiyero has an enormous amount to sing in the show. You know, he kicks off Dancing Through Life, he duets with Elphaba on As Long As You're Mine. The question will be, in an expanded version of the show for a two-film structure, they've talked about adding in more material, is he going to get his own standalone solo song? Because he doesn't strictly have one. I know we think of Dancing Through Life as Fiyero's song, but it very quickly becomes a company number. So does Jonathan Bailey merit a Fiyero song? Let me know in the comments. Where would you put a song for Fiyero in the structure of Wicked? What do you think it should be like? I've always thought it might be cute if he got a reprise of I'm Not That Girl, retitled obviously as I'm Not That Boy, where he's singing about kind of like his sense of duty and obligation and what's expected of him in this role that he portrays, in the face of the fact that he is finding out he has feelings for Elphaba that seem to conflict with everything that he had planned for his own life. And if he did get that, it would mean that everyone in the central trio sang some interpretation of that song at some point throughout the plot. And they all sing it when they find out about Elphaba and Fiyero's romance, because obviously Elphaba finds out when she realizes she has feelings for him, Fiyero would sing it later, and Glinda finds out when she discovers that in the second act. Ooh, that's clever. I like that. John, Stephen, email me. We can discuss. While we're talking about Jonathan Bailey's theatre performances, there had been a rumour going around that he was going to be starring as Sky Masterson in the upcoming immersive revival of Guys and Dolls at the Bridge Theatre here in London. Now, I was already sceptical that his schedule would allow for this because of his filming commitments with Bridgerton. Producers are having a hard enough time getting some of the less in-demand stars of Bridgerton to do one-night-only concerts, so for him to be able to find the time to do an extended run, even a limited one, seemed dubious to me. But add in the filming of two blockbuster films back-to-back, I doubt that we will see him on stage for quite some time. As sad as that is, it's great that he is being catapulted to movie stardom. Hannah Waddingham called it at the Emmys when she said West End musical theatre actors need to be on screen more. Cynthia and Jonathan leading this film, this is fantastic for the West End musical theatre industry and its performers. And I always say it's fantastic when we can take a trained theatre performer and turn them into a star who can then become a box office draw in their own right, rather than trying to foist a celebrity into a production who may not be able to bring the same level of talent and experience. Now I want to talk about what this means for the accents in the Wicked film, because I am so curious. So obviously, Wicked is a musical that premiered on Broadway. It is principally popular in the US. We have an American director, we have American writers, and when it was just Cynthia and Ariana, I had assumed that Cynthia would do an American accent. You know, she's been living and working in America for a very long time now. We know she can do an American accent. And Ariana Grande's voice is very that. So I was convinced that we were going to get American accents in the Wicked film, which is fine, because I was a fan of Wicked before I'd ever seen it in the West End. And so going for the first time and having Adina being Adina opposite a Glinda with an English accent, that was a little bit jarring. Even though she was the fantastic Helen Dallimore, it was an experience. If anyone else has ever heard Wicked before they went to see it in London, you may have had a similar time. Fellow Aussians. But all of my perception on this has changed with the casting of Jonathan Bailey, because now we have 2 out of 3 who are British. And though I've heard Jonathan Bailey do an American accent before in multiple shows, it is not necessarily the best use of his skills. Like, if you're casting Jonathan Bailey to be this dashing, handsome leading man prince character, surely you want his whole younger Colin Firth appeal. If you have Johnny Bailey there, why would you not get him to sing Dancing Through Life? Like, that's exactly what you want from him. I'm sorry, but it is. I will say, we haven't got to the casting of Bok yet, but in Wicked in London, they have historically tried to keep Bok Scottish as often as possible, because something about Bok singing, let's dance, is just jarring to me. Even as a Brit, that is one bit, it's just nicer if it's dance. Let's dance. Better, preferable, vastly preferable. But going back to Jonathan's accent, all you Americans may want to get ready for hearing Wicked lines you've not heard with an English accent before, delivered with an English accent. Maybe the driver saw green and thought it meant go. What's the most swankified place in town? I actually tweeted this earlier today and people have been replying to me to remind me that Oz is a fictional place, so the accents can be anything they want, which I completely agree with. It would be great to see a whole range of different accents. If that is the case, I hope it's even more diverse than just sort of generic posh British and then American accents at play. I think it would be really exciting to hear a whole mix of things. I don't think it's going to be exclusively British because it's hard enough to imagine Ariana Grande giving you legit musical theatre vocals, adding a British accent to that, and I'm incredibly confused. Her fans could leave that cinema not even knowing she was on screen, honestly. Like, if she doesn't have a ponytail and vocal fry as Glinda, what is even the point of her being there? As far as I remember, the most recently rumoured Madame Morrible was also Hannah Waddingham, another West End musical theatre star, with a British accent, so that would make the film very English. Now, if I think back to the original Wizard of Oz, there was a lot of sort of mid-Atlantic accent work happening. Are you a good witch or a bad witch? So I don't think there's necessarily much of a precedent for what we think the fictional land of Oz has to sound like. There's also a chaotic part of me that thinks it would be really hilarious if we went really literal with the concept of Oz and made them all do Australian accents. Like, put all of these actors out of their comfort zone. Everyone has to do a different accent to their actual voice. Elphaba, why couldn't you stay calm for once instead of flying off the f***ing handle? Oh my god. Crikey, it's Glinda. I should never be allowed to do that accent ever again. That was a hate crime. I'm so sorry to any Australians who are watching. But these are the things that it makes me wonder about the film. So I'm very intrigued to find out, and we may be waiting until we get a first teaser trailer or even a first cinematic trailer to get these questions answered. Either that or I have to sneak onto the film set and find out for myself. I'm not above it. They're filming in this country. Britain is not that big. I will find Wicked. And finally, as promised, we need to talk about costuming. Specifically, the many people I have seen on Twitter today who are desperate for Jonathan Bailey in the white Fiyero trousers. Now, I have a few issues with this because, first of all, the trousers are cream. Okay, I have cosplayed as Fiyero before. I have studied the pictures for scientific research reasons, and the trousers are definitely cream. They're very pale cream, but they're a cream. So we need to stop calling them white trousers in the name of accuracy. Second of all, I would not necessarily anticipate John M. Chu giving you replica costumes from the Broadway production. We saw Within the Heights, and we've seen with his broader body of work that this is a director with a very strong sense of vision and aesthetic. He takes a huge amount of care for all of the visual detail and the mise-en-scène. A little bit familiar of Baz Luhrmann as a cinematic auteur. So I would be really surprised if he were to just replicate the costumes that we associate with the long-running Broadway production. I would have thought he'd want to aesthetically step away from that a little bit. Maybe not as far as the German non-replica production of Wicked has, where Elphaba is a redhead and the costumes are wild. But definitely I think we will see a little bit of difference. Maybe they'll pay homage to some more iconic parts of the costuming, so maybe we will get the tight jodhpurs. Who knows? But I definitely wouldn't be surprised if we saw a few little changes. Kind of like how Les Mis was adapted, and Eponine's outfit was broadly the same, and they still had similar military jackets, but Enjolras did not have his iconic waistcoat moment. He had a different version of a similar costume. And finally, if you want to see Jonathan Bailey wearing tight white riding trousers badly enough, it's already happened in Bridgerton. Go and watch Bridgerton. He wears those outfits all the time. Plus, he literally jumped into a lake and climbed out of it in a very sheer white shirt. So, what else can we ask from this man at this point? He has already given us everything that we deserve. But those are all of the implications, as I can see them, of casting Jonathan Bailey in this movie. I think age-wise, he is a good fit with the other two. I think he'll give a great acting performance, if anyone still cares about that. I think he can do the whole arrogant bravado thing that melts away to reveal a sensitivity thing very well. We've seen that on Bridgerton with his kind of surly demeanour and later emerging softness and romance. We know he can do gentlemanly heartthrob. Honestly, there's no character material in Wicked as an entirety that I can't readily see Jonathan Bailey doing. I think he is a great fit for the characterization of the role. The one thing I'm currently not sure about is his dance ability. Now, it being a film adaptation, Fiyero may be less dancey than the stage version, or they can film it in certain ways that it doesn't super matter, but he is not known for being a dancer, and Fiyero definitely dances a decent amount in Dancing Through Life. Now, they have cast people before who are also not known for being strong dancers and just coached them through the little bits of choreography that he has to do. And you stage it in a certain way. You put them in the middle, you put strong dancers around them, you can make it work. But that's the one thing I'm most intrigued to see him tackle in this film. But anyway, you have heard my thoughts. I would like to hear yours. What do we think about the casting of Jonathan Bailey in the Wicked movie? Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Have you ever seen Jonathan in a stage production? What show did you see him in? Comment with that as well. Tell us all about it. Also, we are starting to get more and more of the cast being revealed. Who do you think will be in these other roles? Who would you like to see in these roles? Give me your best Wicked movie dream casts in the comment section as well. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope that you enjoyed my Wicked movie ramblings. If you did, make sure to subscribe to my Stagey YouTube channel. There is plenty more content on here just like this and lots more coming very soon. As we find out more about the Wicked movie, I'm obviously going to be giving you a lot of video updates about the film, so do not worry. All of the information we find out, you are going to hear it here as soon as it emerges. If you really enjoyed today's video, feel free to give me a super thanks down below to give me a tip. That would be a huge help to me as a Stagey content creator. Could you see my Wicked t-shirt for any of this video? I'm wearing a Wicked t-shirt. Oh gosh, nearly fell. Nearly fell. Wicked. Or you can go to patreon.com/MickeyJoeTheatre where you can gain access to some exclusive photo and video content. I hope that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day.
For 10 more seconds, I'm Mickey Joe Theatre. Oh my god, hey. Thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!